Welcome back to Perty Nerdy After Hours. If you're just joining us, this is part 2 of my conversation with Kelly Williams. If you haven't caught part 1 yet, you may want to start there. Otherwise, let's jump right back into the conversation. All right, we're going to move on to the next segment, which I call What's Lighting My Bulb. This is typically something that's like, interesting news, weird rabbit holes that we go down, observations, historical facts, all of that. My new favorite thing. However,
Sweet.
I did have a viewer specifically request that I go through world building, which is such a like a how-to world build is such a huge
It's such a hard
topic
thing.
that I was like, okay, we can break this down into a series. So what's lighting my bulb has slowly been morphing into let's talk about world building. And
Yeah.
so this particular episode's topic on how to world build, we're going to talk about the rules of reality in your world, in your universe. Prior to this episode, we talked about how to generate ideas, how to what even is world building, what isn't world building, and then I think last episode I talked about building your universe and your cosmos, what's beyond your world. And then there will have been an episode before this, and now here we are to the rules of reality on your world. Um,
Yeah.
like, how does existence work? What are the rules in your world that are possible, impossible, inevitable, cannot be broken? And the best example I have for this, because sometimes it feels like such a it feels like such a concept idea that I like
Yeah.
to bring it down to like, okay, on Earth, gravity is a rule of our reality. Yes, we can get into an airplane and we can fly off the ground, but gravity still exists. There is nothing we can do to get rid of gravity beyond exploding our planet, I'm thinking. So gravity is a rule of reality that we cannot break. But in a world that you're creating, like a fictional world or your TTRPG adventure, there's so many other things that can be a rule of reality, such as like the magic, how the magic works in a world, or the physics, how how afterlife works, if that's a tight rule, how time works, so I wanted to talk about this a little bit, and I was curious, if I don't know if you want to kick this off, but like, what do you think about the rules of reality and how to approach it when you're world building?
Well, when I create a world, I start with, again, the reality. But I take a step back because I'm a child of the 80s. And I go, what movie was really cool that I liked back in the day? And then I'll take aspects of that
Hmm.
and make that. I start with that thing. Or what's my favorite movie back in the day? Um,
I do that a
that's
lot too, actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
And to help, it's all about the foundation, like how you're going to build a foundation. So multiple, like dead, undead, and deities, and it's like, well, do they all exist in the same realm, or am I making a multi-realm thing where you can trip in and out of different realms, and
Right.
how that works? But then, again, the reality of, do I want to make this, you know more realistic or more fantasy? And
Hmm.
that's the hard part. So you got to start and figure those things out first,
Right.
and then
So kind of
everything
like what
can.
your setting is almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to figure out, well, yeah, what's your setting? Where are you? Steampunk? Are you medieval times? Are you modern times? Are
Right.
you like, is this a planet that's not associated to Earth, because everybody base everything around Earth, in a different time zone of Earth? And if you're like, no, this is nothing like Earth, and so now if it's not like Earth, it makes it a little bit easier to kind of build the things around. But everything you build is something that we exist with on Earth, and so
Right.
makes you think, how do I get out of that
How do you
bubble?
think? Yeah, think outside of
Yeah,
that box. That's so interesting. Yeah. And I think that's where looking at some of that media like that we grew up with, where people have already kind of paved that way a little bit. They've already started thinking outside the box and created a whole movie or franchise around it that you
yeah,
can kind of start with and then maybe, break outside of that box like another level further. Um, yeah, that's really great. Yeah, because I when I talked about like building your universe and your cosmos, one of the questions that came up was like, yeah, are you in a universe where there's multiple worlds? Are you the only world? And are there any
yeah,
stars in your sky? Is there multiple suns, multiple moons, like all this stuff that kind of helps to advise on your physical setting? But up to this point, I hadn't yet talked about like, yeah, well, are you in a medieval, like, what's your story? Is it a medieval story? Is it a
yeah.
sci-fi?
What's
Is it a
your
post-apocalyptic? Like
what's
that
your
can,
technology level? Like,
yeah,
what technology are you in?
yeah.
But at the same time, when you speak of universe and building planets, then I always tell people, don't get lost.
Mm-hmm.
Don't start super big. Start with your continent, the
Oh,
little island. Start with your island and
uh-huh.
build from there. And then once you have like an establishment of the core criteria of building a D&D, I mean a world, an RPG world,
Mm-hmm.
then you build, oh, we're in the corkscrew galaxy, there's four
Yeah.
moons, and then you can go portal from here to here, but this is how you portal. Because you get hung up too quickly on like the bigger thing, and you start out here and you're like, well, but how's the game start? How's it work? And you're like, oh
Right.
yeah, well, I got to come back down here.
Yeah.
And then
I'm so glad that you mentioned this because I was approaching, and I even mentioned this, like when it came to what order do I tackle discussing world building? And I decided to go starting large and going in, but knowing that some people like that's not just one, that's one way, not the right way, right? Some people can start small and build your world out larger from this single point, right? So I'm glad that not only did I mention that, but that you're bringing it up because, you know, now people get to hear both sides
yeah,
of like world building, how to world build. Um, and you're right, maybe when it comes to building your rules of reality, it could be easier to build from the thing. This is what I had talked about before was like if you have a really cool thing, like that's usually I think where people start when they come up
yeah,
with an idea for a world or for, it's like, "Oh, what if I don't know, I'm going to use Brandon Sanderson. What if magic was imbibing metals?" Like, and that's the cool
yeah,
thing. And then from there, you build out and create a universe that works with that. And your rules of reality work with that because that's the cool thing. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I'm glad you
Well,
mentioned that.
so my lit RPGs, I'm writing three different styles, but they all gravitate around uh, the world is a lot. The essence of the world is where the magic and the flow of time goes through is through um, different shards and essence of that.
Hmm.
And that made me think, well, okay, so there's different planes to what I have. There's different realities that you can go to in different planets. But I started with like a celestial body,
Hmm.
but I never talk about it again, except for in passing of this is how the magic is done. It's the celestial body. And
Uh,
then once I figure out what that looks like, after I built the foundations, because as you start building your world, you'll gravitate towards one thing or another, and
right,
then your brain starts spinning off of that, and that's where the bigger picture comes in, right? Because if you start with
right,
the bigger picture and then you find something really cool, now you got to twist that bigger picture to fit that thing that you're now gravitating towards,
right.
or those multiple things. So at that ground level, um, but I've learned that with the three different futuristic modern times and uh, medieval times that I'm doing, but my brain keeps going back into their magic is only used through shards of crystals, and this is why it's built.
Yeah,
But every time I do something different, I'm like, how does the magic work? I really like that shard thing I came up with, so
yeah,
maybe I'll do that, and that becomes the foundation of my world building is now I'm like, oh, so when, because I'm writing the one shot art game based off of the novels,
Yeah.
I'm making an RPG playable version of it at the same time. But I'm building my world from the ground up,
Right.
and it's always, But again, you like, there's 5 planets. I'm not going to think about these 5 planets,
Hmm.
but as I'm going through things, I'll start,
You
because
know
how do
that
you get
they're
to these
there.
planets? Yeah,
Yeah.
like, oh, am I going to have spaceships in here? Am I going to have like dimensional portals that you
Hmm.
gate from area to area? You don't know that until like you start getting into the
Yeah.
fundamentals of your world building. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That is,
but I always,
you said something that kind of kicked off this like weird visual in my brain, and I'm probably going to struggle to describe it well. But you kind of mentioned like, going from the big picture in, and like all of a sudden you think of a really cool thing, and now it's like, oh no, but that means I need to kind of like come back out here and rearrange this and then start heading back in. And it kind of made me think of, the visual that I'm getting is like, okay, it was one of the Avengers movies, and I think it was the one with like Vision, and they had like the picture of like all these little data points, and it's like a 3D model. And I
yeah,
think the now that we've talked about world building this way, whether it's big picture in or little picture out, it I'm starting to see world building as more of a 3D model, because you have to kind of like connect these points, and sometimes it means you're going up and down or out this way but then back in. And so this world build, it's you're literally building a world, which is like a 3D thing. Anyway,
yeah.
it's just one of those aha moments of like,
It,
for me,
because
visuals are very helpful to process information. And so having that visual in my brain, and I don't know if this helps other people, but I wanted to kind of bring that up.
I have spreadsheets. So I every time I start a book, I take an Excel spreadsheet. I have one for characters, one for mechanics, one for the plant or the theme of the land. But next thing you know, I have 30 tabs
Mm,
on one thing. I'm only 20,000 words into it, but I've already built the initials of this world. So world building is not just like creating, like thinking of all these things. You have to put them down on paper. You
yeah.
have to, and then because then it makes you think, you know what, that's not going to work, because if I do this, I can make that work, but would other people do that? And you get caught up in your own moment, and you don't even know because no one else sees it. And then next thing you
Yeah.
know, you get rid of something. So I have a junk tab that I just
Mhm.
put random thoughts and different things in, and I'll come back and I'll pick a string out and be like, oh yeah, I don't know why I put that in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That needs to go. But that's after I've discovered that, yeah, there should be mountains, but there should be different gravity levels to like these mountain peaks. Because I just watched a thing on the Space Channel of Mars about having the Olympus Mountain or whatever, and how it has different gravity levels as it
Oh
goes up. So the pressure is
wow.
different. I was like,
Yeah.
that's a really good idea.
That
And,
is really cool.
move that over and put that into things. So a lot of it is your brain can go a billion different ways, but you need to like put little tags on your world building, or your
Right.
world's gonna you're just gonna keep building, building, and building and building, and you're like, I have
Yeah.
so much
World
stuff.
builder's disease.
It's like a video game. There's that tree of doom that people play in video games where like you're like, oh, my skills tree, and you open it up and it's like pulled back. It's like 150 different tabs that have 20 sub tabs, and you're like,
Yeah.
how many points do I get to do this? And like, how do I build this path? Like, is it just all garbage, or is there like a certain thing I need to do? Like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So in building, I've I've built so many different things, and some of them I've crumpled up and tossed, and then I just learned that like build tabs.
Yeah.
And then when I heard Matt Dinneman talk about that, he's like, oh, I start writing in a thing and I'm listening to music and I pull up my Excel sheet and I have all these tabs, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
uh,
I
I,
do that too.
because no one, there's no guide out there. I mean, there is world builder guides
Yeah.
that you can follow. And
But
but
everybody's
there's
process
14
is
different,
so different.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's the standard 14 different layers of world building for the tabletop industry, and you can change it. And most of it's like pretty standard, and you just base everything off that. But then when you hear someone else is doing something that you had no idea that no one else is doing, then you know you're down a good path. When someone is
Exactly.
successful and they're doing that because they need to keep their world like
Yeah.
together, but they're expanding it so much.
Yeah.
Um, that's the kind of thing that, and the project manager side is like, oh, I need to build a ad hoc spreadsheet of this. I need to build like this and a flow chart to that.
Yeah.
And and then next thing you know, it turns into a business thing, and you're like, all right, now how do I break this down?
Yeah. That's the same with me. Like my roots are in project management and IT, and it wasn't until this year that I started really tracking my work on a freaking spreadsheet. I don't know why it took me so long, but now like that has increased my productivity exponentially. And not to say that like spreadsheets are the end all be all, but when it comes to like it works for you, it works for me, it might work for someone else,
Yeah.
you know?
Uh,
So,
for Lost Lorn, I introduced a Gantt chart
mhm.
of our workflow. And so our writers have deadlines and workflow, the artist, the mechanic builders, the editing and everything. So I built this Gantt chart to like show like this is your timelines that you
Yeah.
guys have. And this is the end result if you stay on this timeline.
Mhm.
And they're just like perfect.
Yeah.
And Mark can't go in there and start changing things and moving around because he changes things. Like the last book we did, he changed. He's like, oh, the we have to rewrite the last chapter of this book. I'm like, that's in print right now. And he's like, it has to change. Okay. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, hey, the printer is going to charge you money if you do this again. Like, because they'll charge you for, because they do all the layouts of everything and for press, because these books were,
Yeah.
I'll bring you one for GaryCon. I'll bring you the two
Oh,
books. It's
yay.
really
Thank
cool.
you.
Um, but yeah, again, as a creator and building a world, you're always adding, you're always adapting. You'll see something, you'll love it. You'll see a movie or a show or read
Yeah.
it in the book or do something, and you'll just keep expanding. Like my one friend that came to breakfast and had this book that he's been working on for 20 years, and I'm like, oh, it's done. He's got 300 and something pages. All the everything's there, but he just kept on going back and
Yeah.
adjusting.
Adjusting.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, and it's just in a medieval world. So
Yeah.
it's like, is there anything else past this? He's like, no. Should
We'll
there
see.
be more? And I'm like, oh, I mean, you don't have to have like other land or anything like that, but like, some people have like their map. Like I have a lot of maps from my artists that are like, oh, that's perfect. I think a big thing for world building is having your map, even if it doesn't have all of your land ideas, but if you
Mhm.
just pre-draw like land masses and stuff, then you start thinking like, well, how many cities are in this landmass? Oh, is this what type of, is this a kingdom? Is this
Mhm.
democratic, or what's, you start building on top of that. So having a map or an idea of a map is probably a really
Now, do
good
you
start.
say that for TTRPGs only, or would you apply that for fiction writing as well?
Fiction writing too, because we're all
Okay.
writing into a world, and it helps. And I do it all the time because I have a map that I'm like, oh, I'm using the city name, but it's on the
Yeah.
map. So then I can sit there and range how far. Oh, they run into something in these woods. I'm like, oh, I can. I made this map so that each inch is this. So and then you write on that, knowing like, oh, it's a day and a half travel that they
Yeah. It can
before
be
you get to the
helpful. Yeah.
next. Yeah, it's nice to have that, and it helps your brain assess your story because you're given a town, a city, a forest, a road. Like it helps you build on top of that
Right.
um, foundation of
So I want
creation.
to I want to touch base on some of these like aspects of the rules of reality, and just see if we have any like thoughts on each. So if you're
Okay.
world building, and you're world building, I'm going to say magic, but also let's say it's a sci-fi world, then it's going to be the technology, right? Magic or
Yeah.
technology, or special abilities, whatever you want to call them. Um, if you're going to world build that and figure out the rules of reality, I would say that you need to figure out where it comes from. I don't know if that's a rule of reality, right? But like,
Yeah,
like you said, how does the magic work? You probably, if you're going to introduce magic or technology, you should have some, like, as the author of it, you should have some level of understanding of how it works, even if the people in your story or the games or the players, like, don't
yeah,
yet know how it works. You should know how it works.
yeah. Did a rock come down and
Hmm.
imbue anybody gets near it with a magic power?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, just something like, or is it built into the planet and it got dug up and now, or I wrote a thing a long time ago for someone that little gemstone, or not gemstones, but like pieces of rock that were
Hmm.
buried deep from another planet, and they got an ability,
Yeah.
and but it was just in a necklace or in a ring, and they didn't know they had these powers and abilities based off the jewelry, so they couldn't figure out
They
how
couldn't
they
figure
got
it
this
out.
stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I think another thing is figuring out where the magic or the thing comes from,
Hmm.
but then also the limitations. What is
Yeah.
everybody on the planet? What's the minimum and what's the max
Right. Like, yeah, like
of
who can
this?
access the magic, but then also if they access it, what does it cost, right? Like you said, the
Yeah,
limitations. Does it it's not all powerful power, right? It has
yeah,
some limit.
yeah. It might be your stat base. Like if you
Yeah.
have, say you have 1 to 20 in a stat, and you have to have it at 10 to
Right.
initiate whatever. So let's just say you're super strong, and you didn't know that until you got a 10 strength, and all
Yeah.
of a sudden you're picking up cars,
Yeah.
but you're like, oh, so now it's based off of getting my attributes to a certain point to get these abilities.
Hmm.
Coming up with some type of functionality and how it happens. Because then if you start off, everybody has magic, everybody has this, everybody has that,
Hmm.
but that's like the how and the
Yeah.
and the why. But figuring out what the mid max attributes are for a
Right.
character.
And then
Um,
what happens if, like, okay, fine, I could pick up cars. Can I pick up cars 10 times a day? Or is it like
yeah,
unlimited? Or what happens if I push myself past that because we're facing some villain and my party's about to die? Or, like, and I push, what happens when I exceed that limitation? Is there a consequence?
yeah,
Those are all
or
things I
fatigue.
think, yeah, fatigue
Or
or
yeah,
you
does the
shrink or
yeah, what's in the environment? God,
Mhm.
world building is such a difficult
Good.
um, thing. Even to if you build lots of worlds and
Mhm.
of different genres and everything, it's still one of the hardest things to do
Yeah.
without getting lost
Yeah.
in what you're doing.
Yeah. I think that's why it's also so hard to, like I said, somebody said like, "Hey, can you do a series on how to?" And I'm like, "Well, I can
Or
try."
like it might be a segment within a
Yeah.
multiple of episodes to like,
Yeah.
yeah, uh, this is blah 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 corner. I think in my show I did you're in a basement. The last part of my show is you're in a basement. You can play D&D with anybody you want, living or dead. You can play any edition, but you're in this room for
Oh, wow.
24 hours. Who would you play with and why? And then someone's like, well, what about food? I'm like, oh yeah. And so I added in like, what kind of food would you have? And then someone's like, well,
What
can we
about a
drink? And I'm
bathroom?
like,
Yeah.
oh my god, I can't drink. But it grew into an entire segment where some people came on the show, they're like, can we start with the end thing first and then go into I'm like, oh, so you listen to the show. Hey.
That is
Uh, but I digress. But yeah, it's it's
I
one of
love
those things
that.
like when someone says like, hey, explain world building, it's like, well, it's not a one episode kind of thing. It's kind of
Yeah.
a because the perspective from everybody, it's totally based on your style, your
Mhm.
genre. Like
Mhm.
that's the big thing. What genre are you going for?
Right.
Start there, simple. Like like what movie and it inspires you, and then it doesn't have
But
to do anything with the movie, but it's
I think those questions, though, I love that because it does kind of tie in exactly with what we're talking about, which is the rules of reality. They're like, they want to know the rules of their reality in this 24-hour period before
Yeah.
they can provide you an answer. Do they have food?
And then the answer is, so some of them are like heart wrenching because it's like, oh, I wish I had my grandmother that I played
Mo.
D&D with. It's just stuff like that. And some people are like, oh, I'd love to play with, Albert Einstein. I'm like, oh, but why?
Yeah.
Like, what's the reason, man? Oh, the math alone, he'd be able to like go like that. I'm like, well, what if he didn't?
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, but again, you have to set those foundational rules for someone to build into that, because again, it's like building a world, right? you
Right.
you gave them a basement, you gave them the left and right limits of what can happen, and so the time frame, and then you have to come up with all the meaty insides, and then it's like, oh, what game and genre we're doing? Oh, let's do first edition D&D, and this is why.
Mhm.
So world building is a lot like, oh, gravity's two times Earth's gravity. Oh, what is that like?
Yeah.
Like, oh, everything's super heavy. Like,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
is it crushing everything? Or when you leave the planet,
And then you need to understand why. Like, why is
yeah,
the gravity two times more, you know?
yeah, is there
Um,
a moon circling so
yeah.
close that it's causing, whatever?
Yeah.
So
Some other aspects of this, I mean, physics we kind of touched on because of real world physics like gravity and you could talk about like what's the weather on your world like, is that unbreakable? Is it always winter because the sun died or something? Like there's all kinds of ways
yeah,
to talk about physics. Um, but I also want to talk about like we talked well, I mentioned afterlife and like souls. Like is there anything, in your world, or is there nothing? Like, do you just blink out
yeah,
and that's it?
it's
Or
like
is there an
flipped over the character
afterlife?
sheet. Yeah,
Yeah, something to
like turn
think
over the
about.
character sheet is, and with the afterlife thing, well, the cool thing is where you can go with that microphone. What you can do with that is that, again, you can just go to a different realm on your own
Right.
world and then rewrite all of that. Like everything on this realm is completely opposite, but you're
Yeah.
undead or
Yeah,
you're
if you want
dead.
to if you want to make your world building twice as hard, build another
Yeah.
realm because you have to now world build that.
Yeah. They're like, oh, we have undead people that come in and out of, phase or whatever. They come in and out of existence, or they die and they go over here. But then it's like, well, how do you play both sides of
Right.
that? So, but like, Uh, one thing I do in some of my games is when someone dies, whoever goes and helps them first or tries to heal them or fix them, they absorb their soul. And those two people are playing that one character. And so I set a 15-minute timer in real time, and they're in control. So their essence and soul go into this person, and then their body morphs into the other character. And so they
Wow.
both get to play,
Yeah.
but they're both playing
The same.
one the
Yeah.
same character,
That's a
and they
great
can't
idea.
interact with each other. So like, if you're in the middle of combat, you don't know you're in the middle of combat,
Mhm.
and so that's what makes it so fun, because all of a sudden the new driver's in the seat, and they're like, oh, you guys, oh, perfect. They're fighting a shark underwater, and then he transformed, and his wife. So it was a couple, and she didn't want to play, so they played the same character,
Yeah.
and so I did that. But that's one of those weird world building mechanics. Like, how do you get multiple people playing at once? Oh, I'll put them in the same body, and then they just rotate
Yeah.
through.
There you go.
Um, she had to fight a shark, but then she's like, I don't know how to swim, and I'm like, oh, you said it. You don't know how to swim, so now you have to, you're at disadvantage for swimming. And
Yeah.
he's like, why
Wow.
would you say that? Because he's like, we have swimming. I'm like, no, 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 you have swimming.
Yeah. That's great. I
Our
love
characters, we didn't
conflict
have
like that.
swimming. But that's another, it's the world mechanic. How do you deal with dead? You know, do they absorb into other people? Do they just disappear?
What
It's,
about what even has a soul, right? Like,
yeah. What
do
constitutes?
animals have souls?
Do
Like,
they talk?
do they
Yeah,
talk? Yeah. Do they have minds? Um, these are all rules of reality that you can think about. Um, time, you were talking about like you had a whole timeline and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, well, we got to fix this whole ending. And that's a different sort of like, timeline issue, but thinking about time in your world, is it linear? Um,
yeah.
yeah, and can it be manipulated at all? Is there time travel? Is there
And,
can you change the past?
and that's the beauty of that in world building is, do you want to build a timeline, or do you
Yeah.
just want to go within the moment and have the player's experience build a timeline?
Right.
Or you can sit there and write this huge, long 500-year timeline and put gaps of stuff. But it's a lot of work. And so you have to think about that,
Yeah.
which timeline is almost the last thing I do when I world build,
Yeah.
because I've already built the world. Now I can say, oh,
You can start
this section over
connecting.
here, you can,
Yeah.
yeah, you can, like, conflicts or battles or kingdoms or whatever. Now you can start building, the reality time part of it,
Right.
um, or just not, and not complicate your players. It really depends on how in depth world builder you are. How much do you want to world build?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like, do I have to follow all these rules? Or they
Right.
might not want to build all that stuff. You don't have to.
Yeah.
You can just make it up as
That's
it is.
that's exactly what I tell people because the question always comes up of like, how do I know when I'm done world building? And my answer to that is usually like, whatever amount of world building gets you to the point where you can start writing the story. Will you have to go back and keep world building? Probably, but whatever works. That's the right amount.
Or and when you're professionally writing, you go, guys, it's second edition of the first edition book.
Yeah.
Move forward. It's
Hmm.
going to be in the next, when we do the next year's re-edition of this one,
Uh-huh.
because we came up with this.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you just got to have to republish it and have it come out, or have it
Yes.
as a secondary thing.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Exactly.
just getting caught up in your own world is probably your biggest enemy, because you're going to spend so much time thinking about, oh, it has this, it has this, it has this.
Yeah.
Really, you just need to have a place to walk, a place to go, and some stuff around you. Like,
Hmm. Um, and then I want to talk about, I think, death, how death works in a world can be different. It's kind of tied to like afterlife, but like what does it take to have someone go from being alive to dead? Like, is that
yeah,
different in your world? You know, I mean, as humans, I think we all understand that concept, like on our world,
yeah,
but that
yeah.
could be totally different, like on a fictional world.
Yeah, they
Um,
just come back as something else, or
yeah, or is
like,
death
just,
permanent? Can
yeah,
people come back from that? Like, you know, in D&D, we know that we can resurrect people. We can't do that in
yeah,
our world right now, but you know,
no,
you can do that in that kind of fictional world. So, I think thinking about the rules of death in your world probably would bear some time
yeah,
to think about. Yeah.
and it's one of those things, like, you want to think about your audience, who you're building this for.
Right.
Like, again, second edition and first edition D&D was like brutal. A wizard would have 4 hit points. If you rolled a 4, you could only have 1 hit point if you didn't have any modifiers, and you could just die, and that'd be it. And they're like,
Yeah.
okay, flip your character sheet over, continue. Um, you know, when you think of death, it's like, do you want your people to die, or can they just permanently be knocked out? Can
Yeah.
their souls go into something else, like become another creature?
Mhm. There's
Um,
ways to handle it. Yeah.
yeah, there's lots of different avenues. Like I said, when someone died, they go into another person's body, um, or an NPC. I'll have an NPC there, and then I'm like, oh, just go in there, and then they play some. They play the same character, or if they want to make something else, that's fine too.
Mhm.
Um, but no one. That's the thing about what I've learned in the amount of gaming. Is that no one wants to die. No
Yeah.
one wants. They invested so much time. They're like, oh, I'm in this thought up world to live and to do what I can't do in the real world. I don't want to die.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, do you want to have people die? How hard do you want that to be on the
Mhm.
group, and how fast? Like, you can do the vampire thing where you die and you just slowly become undead, and then you just
Yeah.
come
And
back and
now
you,
you're a
you
different
reverse
version of
everything.
yourself. Yeah.
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 I think that's a big thing with vampire and stuff like that. And that's one of Mark's big thing is become the creature, become the monster,
Mhm.
was his tagline, is you are the monster. Instead of you're the player, the character, you're the
Yeah.
monster. That's played the undead, something, that version. But yeah, again, in world building, you don't have to get too in depth into life and death and all that avenue. But
Mhm.
like, think about, do you want the player to die, and then they're like, "Oh, I don't want to make another character." Now you've just lost someone playing your
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
Uh, think about it that way. Like, or if you just want to be brutal and have a horror show, then yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. Think
that
about
works.
your audience. Who do you want your audience to be? Who
Yeah.
do you want to enjoy your world?
At a convention, can 8 to 18 play in your game? Like,
Yeah.
because those are the categories. Like, you have to select what age group. Because I had people come up to the vampire game. It's like, oh, can my son play too? And I'm like,
Ooh.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just adjust everything. And I changed everything so it fit the kid. Last year at GaryCon, I had a guy and he had both his kids because his wife is like, here you go, you can go to your convention, but here's 2 8 and 7 year olds. They played all the monsters.
That's
They rolled all
awesome.
the dice for me. Like, and again, they didn't kill anything because I was like, oh, I can't have these kids kill anything because they'll
Yeah.
go home. Because I have a 6 year old and I have an 18-year-old, so it's like,
Wow.
eh.
Yeah.
And so my youngest kid's like, kill it, it'll be fine. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
no. But yeah, so death in your world, like, put a little bit of thought into how you want your perception of your players.
Yeah.
Now, if you're writing it in a book, then it's fine. Your reader is gonna, everybody falls. But if you're making it into a game, think about how your players are going to perceive death in your game, and
Hmm.
if they want to play it that way.
Right. Right. So just to close out this segment, so one of the or the list of questions that I would think you would want to ask yourself if you're building rules of reality is what is possible, what is impossible, um, what always happens or what will never happen in your world. What does everyone well, I don't know about what does everyone think happens. That might be I don't know. But like are there I guess I don't want to even say are there exceptions because as a rule of reality there probably should never be exceptions, right? Like
Right.
our reality right now on our world is that the sun never goes out. We just don't
Yeah.
see it at night, but it never goes out. We know that. Like that's a rule. um and then I guess if you want to take it a step further, once you kind of think about all your rules of reality, is the like the ripple out effect of like how these decisions you have made in your world, how they affect everything else. What's the trickle down effect? What changed because you decided that your world has two moons? How does that change
Yeah.
your world? I think all of that could probably get you where you need to go if you're building rules of reality, right? Do you have anything
Yeah.
to add to that or change
No,
or
I
disagree
think
with?
that's. I mean, the only thing an exception is having a deity or some all-knowing power be able to change or flip
Yeah.
whatever. But then that's its own realm and a thing. Like, oh, I have deities in my world.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
A
where are
god
they at?
decided to turn the sun off
Yeah,
for one day. What does that do?
yeah. Or
That's
just
crazy.
put up a random table,
Yeah.
and this is the deity table, and it's 100 different things that the deity of the moon of blah blah blah
Uh-huh.
cast upon you.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, just no. I think the rules of reality is kind of like what you want it to be,
Hmm.
but again, I always circle back to like, it's not just what you want it to be, but what is your audience? What do you want your audience to want it to be,
Right.
or what is their perception of your thing? Because again, there's 1,000 different RPG games out there. There's 1,000 different worlds.
Hmm.
What are you doing to gravitate people to you
Hmm.
to make them want to play yours over 1,000 different? There's a star chart thing you can get at GaryCon, or I think they go to every convention. It's got every gaming company since TSR,
Oh,
and it just,
wow.
I think you can pay if you have an actual company with a number and be put on this chart, and just shows like the growth. It looks like a star chart of all the companies and then the branches of
Wow.
the companies and stuff. So
That's so
again,
cool.
how is your reality, your world going to draw your audience in? It's
Hmm.
probably the biggest thing I can propose to someone building a world,
Yeah.
what is your catch? What's
Yeah.
the thing that's going to make them come to you?
Yeah.
And it could be multiple things, but like, what's the big
Have at least
elevator
one. Yeah.
pitch? Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your pitch to when you're trying to tell someone about your world? What's the big thing that's going to hook them?
Hmm.
Um,
So you mentioned roll tables, and I think that is a perfect segue to move into our ad hoc hooey. I always do that. Because for so I came up with the title and then I laugh because it just makes me think of like hack hooey. um, but ad hoc hooey is my segment where I have created a set of tables. Right now we're on horror.
oh,
Um,
sweet.
yeah, the tables are setting, plot, encounter, NPCs, and loot. So if you will roll a d6, that will define what our setting is. And as we continue to roll these, we will create a story or an adventure based off of this these roll tables. So
Cool.
for
I just rolled a
setting,
one.
you just rolled a one. All
A
right. So
one. Start off big.
that is, oh, well, I mean, ones aren't bad here. So
Not
the
sure.
one means the setting is an abandoned hospital.
Ooh.
So as we start thinking about this story, the setting will involve an abandoned hospital at some point. Um, if you want to roll another d6, let's kind of pair this with a plot and see what we come
Oh,
up with.
we got a four.
A four. Oh no. No, this
Oh
is great.
no.
No, this is great. So, as of right now, you have abandoned hospital, and then the plot is a mysterious object grants wishes, but all is not what it seems. Now, I have actually rolled these two together before, but that doesn't mean that we can't come up with something different. This is what I talk about a lot, and I love when this actually happens organically because people will say, "Well, there's no original ideas under the sun," and it's like, no, 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 no. We've heard the story of Cinderella probably a million different times. You just may not recognize them all the time because they are told in such a way that it's different, it's fresh, So I think we can still tell this story, and it will be
I,
different than when I've rolled this previously.
I've already got something and
Ooh, I'm
it's
so
popped in
excited.
my
Okay.
head. I was like, oh, geez, okay.
Okay, well, let's hear what you're thinking right now because this is how when I do this, I start talking out loud and then as we continue to roll in the tables, sometimes things change.
So, abandoned hospital, a
Mhm.
Salem asylum, or a mental hospital,
Ooh.
and it's one of those old in the '60s and well in the '40s. They have little shocker things,
Uh-huh.
and they
Like
just
Return to Oz. Have you seen that movie?
yeah, I guess
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Oh dang. Okay, well that's already there. I was gonna say it's alive,
No, but
but
that's fine.
basically
Yeah.
that's you find it and then everybody's messing around with it and then that's the you know uh object that grants wishes. Like, oh man,
Ooh.
I wish this thing worked, and it works. Oh man, I wish this would bring this person back to life, and then it brings him back to life because like
Oh, well, and
dead
the
body or
fact that it's
whatever.
in so I love that when I did an abandoned hospital, I was thinking like a medical hospital. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
I
that
did
you
too.
immediately went to a mental hospital. So now that completely shifts the story.
Yeah, yeah,
And then,
because they come back evil or
right.
insane. Like it's an insanity thing. Like it's a ghost of the hospital that's getting put in. That's the
Yeah.
wish. You brought him back, but it's Beth from down the hall.
Yeah. Do you really want them back? Okay, I love this. So now we're gonna roll for an encounter and see if that changes
Okay.
anything. So you're
All
gonna roll
right.
another d6.
A one.
All right. This is different this time. Uh, so we have the encounter is escape or capture the pursuer. So some kind of a chase encounter. Um, so if we were going to build this, let's say, into an adventure, or if this was going to be like an action sequence of a fiction story, we have an abandoned mental hospital, we have a mysterious object that grants wishes, but all is not what it seems. And somewhere along the way, there should be some kind of a chase encounter. Either if
Yeah,
someone is being chased or you are doing the chasing.
Beth from down the hall once they get brought back.
So wait,
I'm gonna say escape.
Yeah,
They're trying to get out.
they're
So
trying to
that
get
I
out.
would say that the game starts in the room, like they're already in there, and everybody's around the machine,
Oh.
and then that's how it starts. Your four character, five, six characters
Mm-hmm.
is trying to, they're messing around with someone, and they become like, oh, I wish I could see my mom. She was in this hospital, and then next
Yeah.
thing you know, you're Beth down the hall,
Yeah.
the mom that's been in there.
But
I remember
she's
they're driving these.
pretty
She's like,
scary.
she's like the crazy lady with like ripping out her hair and like,
I
you
imagine
know,
like an evil, like a deadite.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
huge claws, bloody eyes, that whole thing. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
And then
okay,
she's just in the room and they gotta escape.
yeah, they have to get out of the thing because she can't leave the hospital. That's her
Yeah.
domain.
Yeah.
So you have to escape, but it's on like the third floor. So the
Now,
adventure is to getting out.
if they're using this mysterious object that grants wishes, can they use that to get out of the room? I would say, well,
Hmm.
I would say it maybe they could, but again, the whole point is all is not what it seems. So if they use it to get their wish, maybe it dumps them or opens a way, but then it's worse.
Yeah,
Whatever way they get out of that room using that thing, it is now worse.
yeah. Well, someone else would have to grab the things and like maybe like tries like get back.
Hmm.
Yeah, I wish this stupid thing didn't happen. And then they're holding one of the two toggle thingies. So like,
Yeah,
but someone has to use it. That'd be the tricky part. Is, but I like this.
exactly.
I'm already got a story forming.
Yeah. All
Hold on,
right.
let me
So
get down my
now let's roll for
breath.
an NPC because sometimes this changes. Like I said, the further I go down, the story tends to
Ooh,
change.
6.
A six. Ooh, okay. So for an NPC, we have the stranger.
Ooh.
So this could be a stranger that comes in and maybe helps, or it could be a stranger that makes things worse.
Oh, it's another ghost from down the hall or
Mm,
another person that was institutionalized,
yeah,
and they're trying to stop or help the
yeah,
group, like a guide,
yeah,
like come this way, and everybody's like, oh, follow that dude, and then it turns out that it's a ghost, not a, but
yeah,
it's the NPC, it's the guide to get out of the
yeah.
messed up
I could just
thing.
imagine though if they're running from what did you name? Cindy down the hall?
Beth,
Beth.
yeah, Beth down the
Beth down
hall.
the hall. They're running from Beth down the hall and they just see another like ghostly figure who's like, come this way. They would be like,
Yeah.
nope.
Whoop, we messed up.
Uh, but that could be actually really fun for part of the encounter is that they keep encountering this other ghostly
Well,
stranger and
because
eventually maybe realize like, oh, maybe they're trying to help.
it could be the premise that all of the characters in here had a person in the asylum,
Yeah.
and
Ooh.
Beth is one of their relatives, and they're
Yeah.
like, oh my god, I know this person, and so like they know that this person may be good, or just leading them down to the morgue to finish up the
Yeah.
work. But I like it. Okay,
I
so
like that.
one, two,
I
three,
like that
four.
now because the NPC being the stranger means that like, yeah, what if every character had a connection to this place? So they see their like dead loved ones or whatever, but all
Yeah,
their dead loved ones are the evil monsters. It's the stranger that they don't know that's the good person trying to help them out.
I
I
like
like
it.
that. All right,
So
yeah, now we
one,
have
two,
loot.
three, four. Ooh, loot.
Yep.
This is number 5, right? Or
Yep,
is
this
this
is the
6?
last one. So if this were an adventure, like what would be the loot that they would get
2.
for succeeding in this adventure, or what would be maybe some loot that is like part of the reason they're there? And so you rolled a 2, which
Yep.
is a forgotten cache of blank. So this could explain why they're there to begin with. They're there to find this forgotten cache of something blank.
All the family mementos that they never got back when the people were pronounced deceased or
Pronounced.
gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Okay.
all the personal belongings
Yeah. Yeah.
of each person.
I could see that. I could
And
see
once they
that.
get the belongings, that's what frees their souls from the asylum, the
You know what I
creepy
love
part.
about that is then you can go like if you're doing this as a game, you can. go to each player and say like, okay, so what is the item that your character finds? Because then it makes it personal to them, like their character, and they become more invested in like the creation of the adventure.
Or maybe the
Yeah.
machine isn't bringing someone back to life, but it's bringing them back to the moment that they were all there. Like someone's like, "Oh, I wish I could be
Oh,
here before this all happened."
yeah.
And then that's the sequence. They all get sucked back into whatever period of time, 1940,
Oh,
where all their
wow.
grandparents were there
Yeah.
young, and they have to go and like, like, oh, my parents talked about this necklace that my grandmother had, and they never got it back, and they never got any of the stuff from uh, the hospital. So like, they're all there to hunt through the hospital to find it's abandoned, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, there's got to be somewhere it's in the basement. There's got to be all the belongings of the people there, and then yeah, I got a good story rolling in my head right now. I got it.
Yeah. This kind of makes me think of the original movie It, and how it was like a
Oh yeah,
two-parter, and so like one part is like them as adults and then we get to go back to when they were kids, and like I could imagine doing this adventure where they get to go back, and let's say it was a 1940s hospital and they get to see their grandparents or whoever was here at a younger age and kind of watch that whole thing play out at the insane asylum. And maybe in my head now it's
oh,
like this group of, grandparents when they were younger, they banded together because they knew something was wrong in this insane asylum. People were being treated horribly and they're being shocked with
yeah.
this weird thing. And so they banded together and they had some, I don't know, whatever items that they collected and hid away. And so that ends up being the loot that gets found later. I love
Ooh,
how this is what I love. I love this. I say it every single time. I'm just nerding out over how you can have the same set of like data points and have very different story ideas. I don't know. I love being
no,
able to demonstrate
I'm
that.
like piecing it together in my head, and I'm like, okay, the magic item was actually what killed all of them. But every time the characters go in there, in every room they go to see, because it's got the name of their loved one on the outside, every time they walk in, that's a flashback of the moment, and they see it like in the
Yeah.
temporal way. But then they always get walked down the hall to the room that has a machine, and they go in there, and the machine's there.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they are like, oh man, I wish I could have gone back and done something about this, and it's like
Yep.
it puts them. So instead of being that haze, it's now boom. You're the atmosphere. I'm already writing it. It's in my head. I got it. I got you. Give me
I
a
love
couple
it.
weeks. I
Yep.
got you.
I can't wait. Um, Thank you so much for participating in that. That's the
Yeah,
first time I've done this with someone else. Usually I'm just, rambling ideas as they come to me, but that was
yeah,
really
yeah.
fun.
Yeah,
Um,
anytime. This is I like it. You
yeah,
can build 10,000 word stories like that.
like
Like
that. Yeah, and that's so
easy.
so what I normally do with this is I have a set this same set of data points that I will do for 4 episodes to demonstrate how you can sometimes have the same data and come up with different stories, or just, how you can come up with a story with, these 5 things. um but yeah, this will have been, I think by the time this airs, this will be the last one for horror, I think. So
Oh,
yeah, that's so much fun.
oh, that's
um,
cool.
so that is our Ad-Hoc Hooey. Thank you for participating in that.
Yeah.
Um, we're going to move on to our community topic. My viewers will know I have been dissecting characters to kind of help me form an idea of what I want my main character to be. If I have other characters or side characters or sidekicks, what would I want them to be like? And now I'm turning my eye on villains.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
villains are, I mean, I, I I don't know. I'm torn on villains. I feel like some people get villains really right and then some people can get them really wrong. And I am new to this, so I'm probably going to get it really wrong. But I I want to look at like some of my favorite villains. And I don't know if you already have in your head like a handful of favorite villains. And then I want to talk about what I like about them, what I don't like about them, and what you like and don't like about them.
Yeah.
Um to kind of help me focus in on like, ooh, so when I create my villain, I want to make sure I have this and this and this because these are the things I really like. Um,
Yeah.
so do you wanna start and kick us off with like some of your favorite villains?
So one of my villains, I don't know, it's my daughter. Both my
Your
daughters
daughter's your
watch.
villain?
No, no, my daughters. So they both grew up watching Toy Story, and
Mm-hmm.
my youngest started with, you know, I think Toy Story threes or twos when she was born, and I was forced to watch them over and over and over and over.
Oh,
And then
I know how
my
that is.
youngest daughter, she just saw Toy Story 5. But leading up there, I had to watch every Toy Story movie. There's a point to this. Every Toy Story movie repeatedly for months. Anybody that has a toddler, or she's 6 now, but anybody that had little kids, you will watch something over and over and over, and then you start picking apart each individual character of whatever
Yes.
you're doing. So my current villain, only because Toy Story 5, I ran into him again and I realized how much, oh God, Woody is my
Woody?
current villain.
What? Okay, I want to hear this.
So, and everybody's like, wow. But I've said this before, uh, because Woody is only about Woody and what he can get out
Yeah.
of the situation and how he and Andy can be together forever and only be him and Andy. And everybody else is just a stepping stone for him being just with
Yeah.
Andy. And when you watch Toy Story 4 times the same day, back to back to back, you start to see it over and
Yeah.
over. So uh, he is my villain. I wrote a story that used Woody's whole the way he
Persona. Or
functions.
yeah.
Yeah, his whole persona and how everything was about him. He's happy, cheery, always there about everybody, but it circles back to where it's just
That's
him.
fascinating.
So when you watch Toy Story 5,
Uh-oh.
you'll be like,
Spoilers?
huh.
Do we need a spoiler alert?
No, no, no.
Okay.
I haven't actually watched yet. Just the
Okay.
commercials alone enraged me. Uh, of like, oh god, because he took his hat off and he's got a bald spot. It's like, oh, and everybody's like, oh, surrounding him,
Uh-oh.
like, oh my god. And then a new toy comes in and he's like, hmm. Again, it's only Andy that has this problem with everything that's
Yeah.
different and new.
Yeah.
So those brief 15, 30-second commercials, I haven't even watched the fifth one, has enraged me and how much I hate him
Oh
and
my
how he's so
gosh.
much the evil character in all those movies. So yeah, he's the villain of, and he's not even a bad person. He just the way he functions.
I love, oh God, I love this so much because I went through what I, oh my God, I'm breaking, my brain is breaking because what you've just come up with was fantastic. And I love that. I chose what I think in general, like public would view as villains. But I love that you did that because the analysis alone is like, it's so great. I think it would be so great. Like, I think because Buzz and Woody are kind of paired together as like the main character combo, right?
Yeah,
Um, I don't think anybody would have seen that. But that is such a great characteristic to give a villain and give them depth. So that they aren't like he
because
is just about him, but I think because people wouldn't normally see him as a villain, that gives him that level of depth. I don't
yeah,
know.
because people see Buzz,
Yeah.
and by the third movie, he's not the villain. He's just trying
He's
to
not.
fit in with everybody
Yeah.
else. And
Yeah.
by the fourth one, he's actually seeing Woody for who Woody is. Again, when you
Yeah.
start watching him as an adult, you start going like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
see what they're doing."
Through the
And,
lens of adulthood definitely
yeah,
changes something.
and I'm like, "Oh, look, Buzz Lightyear got his own actual movie where he's an actual character, whereas Woody's movie." My wife's like, "Oh, Gabe, calm down."
That's amazing. So
So,
okay, good. I love that. So there's this level of selfishness that like is perceived, I think, or it's written to be perceived as like he's main character syndrome, not the villain. but I love that there's that aspect there. So I came up with I always try to come up with my list and then try to group them to see if there's commonalities. One of the things I noticed, so I wrote down as my number one is Agent Smith from The Matrix because
Oh yeah.
there's something about the level of his obsessiveness that I find intriguing. I find as a villain, like I don't want my villains to be all powerful, and there should be some kind of weakness, right? And I
Yeah.
think for Agent Smith, like that obsessiveness is his power and his weakness, which I think is very intriguing. The same thing with Biff Tannen from
Oh,
from from oh, come on,
Back
Back
to
to the
the
Future.
Future.
Because I mean, as a villain, like he's fairly, you know, tame, lame, but he's
Yeah.
so obsessed with the main character, and that becomes like he's so intimidating because of it. Like he's constantly after him, but then also like that is kind of his weakness. And I find
He
that to be
wakes up.
intriguing.
I feel like he wakes up just looking at a picture of Marty by
Yeah.
his bedside, and he just throws it against the wall, and that's it rages him for the whole
Yeah.
day. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go find this kid because
Yeah.
that's the way they wrote Biff, and which what makes it unique. So when they took like bullies from the 50s and 60s, that's exactly how they were. Their
Mhm.
mentality was just like, how can I get laughter? How can I get this? And
Mhm.
it creates them as this evil person. But a lot of people back in that time, they really were that
Yeah.
evil. Like that they woke up eating their Cheerios angry at, that one kid at school that's slightly better or,
Right.
whatever it is.
They
And
wanted to
we're,
make someone else be small. Yeah.
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 And you could see him as like just a regular person trying so hard, where Agent Smith is like, he was designed that way to eliminate, like he was the antivirus or the virus, however you want to look at it,
Yeah.
of taking over the situation and destroying. Those are two good villains. I like that.
Yeah.
One is a humanized villain, and the other one is created evil. Like they hit the evil button when they're like, we need evil guy. Like
Yeah. Now, so I almost wanted to list this one as like my top villain, but then when I really started thinking about it, I felt like he didn't deserve it, and that is Darth Vader. Um, as
because he
far as
circled back.
as far as villains go, like I mean, they write him to be, this not omnipotent, but just like, all powerful and intimidating presence. But we don't really ever get to see Darth Vader do much. So
No,
to me, Darth Vader is cool only because he has a really cool look to him. Like
yeah,
when you
and they
think
created
of that image, like that is emblazoned in your brain, Darth Vader, the way he
yeah.
looks, right? And that's a cool image.
As a villain, he was created as a villain. Like everything around him,
Hmm.
even if he put himself in the situation, made him the villain of his own world, which created him as a villain to everybody, because he's
Hmm.
like, well, might as well just lean into it, whatever. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna wear this thing, that the suit, like it, the amount of books and fan fiction and the amount of movies based around Darth Vader, I think he's one of the very few villains in cinematic history that has so much villain background
Yeah.
that they're still creating to this day. I mean, the voice of him,
Hmm.
James,
James Earl
like,
Jones. Yeah.
yeah, gave his voice to them so they can continue Darth Vader as Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's going to circle back, like do a full circle of being a villain slash good guy slash bad guy slash
Yeah.
not knowing what he is. But I would say he is probably the best villain that I can think of that has shaped the persona of being a villain. Because when
Right.
you think evil person, you could ask anybody and they're like, oh, that Darth Vader guy, that's
Yeah.
definitely a villain. Like there's no question. There's no like, oh yeah, could he be a villain? Or
See,
like,
but and here's the thing is I guess I mean not I mean those the second wave of movies where we get to see Darth Vader's origins, I feel,
yeah,
especially like that third movie, that is more villainous to me than when we actually see Darth Vader in the first three movies. Like,
yeah,
other than seeing him force choke people, like, I don't really get to see Darth Vader do much. And so I think that's why I kind of like knocked him down a few pegs because I almost listed him at number one. And I'm like, but he's not the best villain because the only things I really love about him is that he has a really cool look and like a really cool name. Like, but I don't know. It's just, it's all like surface
mad
stuff.
respect.
Yeah.
Everybody mad respects him wherever he goes. Like
Yeah.
everybody's like,
Mad
oh,
respect is
yeah,
really, that's actually a good, yeah. So those are the things I think I would take from that villain analysis and be like, okay, if I want to create a really cool villain that spans over like, lengths of books and time, that's something I might look at is like, how does my villain look? What is everybody, how does everybody react in the presence of my
yeah.
villain? Um, but other than that, I mean, well, and the lightsabers are cool too,
Well,
but
yeah, I mean, yeah. But so just talking about your three made
hmm
me think when I look at villain, is it a created villain? Is it
mm,
a humanized villain? So like Darth Vader was created into the villain.
mm-hmm.
Biff is humanized as a villain, and that's their perception of a villain back in that time. And then and Smith is a straight up like he was designed to be a villain. So
Right.
I would first look at what what's the personality of my villain? Is he straight up only been a villain? Has he been created to be a villain? Like what brought him to that villain level?
That's a
And
great
then
point.
um is he just like a human villain that just has a chip and he's got to the point where everybody thinks he's a pile of
Yeah.
poop, and so they portray him as a giant pile of poop. But that that makes me think like, oh, when I create a villain, like how did he become the villain to begin with? Like what drove him to that villain
That
level?
is an excellent point. I appreciate that you brought that up
Yeah,
because I don't think we always think that far.
no,
Sometimes you really should. They should have a motivate. That's the thing is if you think about their origin, you flesh out their motivation,
yeah.
which shouldn't
So
just be that they're just evil. Like that's not a motivation. It's
so
what's their
so
motivation for doing what they do.
as a writer, that just goes back to like character development. How did they get there?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you just look at Woody, and it's just like he progressively, I think 15 writers made him into what he is after 5 movies and a bunch of little shorts. But again, he
So
gets under your skin.
I is that no, that's the thing is like, is that a good thing? Do I want a villain that gets under people's skin?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Um,
I would want to, I want to read a book or a story and know that like, oh, that piece of crap. Like I want to know that villain, the protagonist
mhm,
is always popping up and doing stuff because then I look for it when I'm like, oh,
right.
I haven't saw Vader in a long time. Where the hell is he at? And
Yeah, what's he up
bam, he
to?
comes out of nowhere. Like
Yeah.
so. But you want that hook. You
Mhm.
could just put like a really jerk as a jerk and everything. He's just a forgotten character. If you have multiple 200 characters in your stories, they get lost unless you like really put them out there, give them a
Yeah.
little kick.
So I have two honorable mentions and then we can wrap up because
Okay.
I also thought of, and these both are in the same vein, Hannibal Lecter and Scar from Lion King. And I think I pair those two together because what I liked about both of them, two things. They both have excellent like accents. Like I love the way they
Yeah,
talk,
yeah,
their speech patterns and like their high level of intelligence when they speak. They're very clever. And
yeah.
you can feel that cleverness like dripping off of them.
Yeah.
That's
They
how
they
clever they are.
pre-plan what they're doing.
Yeah.
They
And
know they're the bad guy, but they're
exactly.
5 steps ahead of everybody.
And the fact that you can feel how clever they are and how far out they've thought about things almost makes them that's the scare factor for them, is that they have thought ahead of whatever it is you are thinking of. Um, so I really like those two villains just for that. And also like I said, I love the way they talk. And now it's making me think like, does my villain need to have like a hot accent or
Yeah. Well, again, your reader, who's your target
yeah.
audience,
Yeah.
and if it's people that like accents, of course,
I
they're going
know.
to be like, oh yeah, that British, damn him,
Yeah.
like or
I
whatever.
think it was Jeremy Irons, right? That did
Yeah,
Scar.
yeah.
Oh, God, so good.
See, that's the hard part about living in Europe. Everybody has an accent, and I'm like, I'm partial to Irish and English and Scottish, and so anytime I go, I'm like, tell me everything. Read
Yeah.
this book to me. Like,
Read this menu.
yeah. I'm sorry, I don't understand. It's in English. Oh no, I know, but can you just read this for me, please?
Okay, I'm gonna. I know this is totally off topic, but I'm just gonna make a little um, confession here. So, when I was working in IT, we had help desks that were either in India or in Ireland. I will tell you, 100% of the time, whenever I got Ireland, I could not understand a word they were saying, even though I knew they were speaking English. I could not understand what they were saying. And then I went to go visit. We went to go to Ireland. I really struggled. I don't know what it is about that accent that makes it very hard for me to pick
Oh,
apart
oh,
what they're saying.
you get them a slightly drunk because I every time I go, I do like this, uh, the beer tours and all that stuff. So I get on a little bus because you can't drink in those countries.
Yeah.
It's like a zero. Like you're screwed if you get. It takes so long to get your European license. Like I have 3 different driver's licenses for Europe. uh, you get him a little drunk, and you're like, I have no idea what he's saying. I know he's having a great time, and I'm just sitting there thinking, like, yep.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like trying to piece it together quick, and I'm like, okay, what do you? And he's like, oh, you got a weird accent. I'm like, me? I don't know what you just said to me. Okay, fair enough. You're right. It's my fault.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, you get him a little saucy, and then Scotland, Ireland, and England. You get to a pub or something,
Hmm.
it's like a whole new world. I'm like, I know everybody in here is speaking English, but
Right.
it's, it's like I grew up in Texas, so it's like going to Louisiana and trying to have a conversation
Yeah.
with people. You just slightly don't understand.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's amazing. So, okay, well, we did it. We talked about villains, and so I think really my big takeaway from this is I want to think about my villain's origins, which I
Yeah.
don't think I had that really kind of in the forefront of my mind as I'm creating this villain, but now that you've said it, like I can't let go of it. So I'm
Because
very
it makes you want to be like, that's why he's like that. And it
yeah,
helps build into like their story. And then you write more about them. So every
right.
villain I write, I find someone in my past that just really like
Yeah.
they a lot of my characters kind
Beware
of
being an enemy to a
slightly,
writer. You will end up in a
yeah,
book.
slightly surely, and then if they read it, they're like, "You mother." Oh, I got it, but you don't say their name,
Right.
and
Hmm.
but they get it.
File off the
But
numbers. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But again, a lot of inspiration for game writing and for novel writing and just writing in general is personal experiences and things that you've uh, experienced and go through in your own life. And using people within your own circle is great because
Yeah.
you can get trapped in your own world of building people
Hmm.
because you don't know how to build a person.
Yeah.
Because you're like, how would I build myself? No, I have to build it off someone's personality, like them. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah, I like this about, particularly is about a person, individual,
Hmm.
or someone you've read about or a movie you've seen, and then you just kind of like nitpick everything
Yeah.
that makes a person. Because again, you want to be able to read your own character and want to read about that character or those NPCs
Exactly.
or whatever multiple times. Like the story I'm writing now, I'm like, I gotta jump back to um, Danny. And so, because I alternate chapters because I split the team up, I do military
Ah.
historical, and then I'll do military lit RPGs, so they're always like a four
Fun.
man team, and so, but I split the 4-man team up because it's easier to write two people at a time. That's why
Mm-hmm.
Matt Dinneman has Princess Donut and Carl together, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody else is just secondary. But
Yeah.
there's two, or Michael Chatfield. He's got two characters at all times for his military style of writing. It's easier to dive deep into two characters versus four main characters. So I
Exactly.
split my parties up. So each chapter they're in two different areas and it goes back and forth. And then occasionally they're together, but there's always one main character of the two.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
So
That's a
again, it's
good
just,
tip. I like that.
yeah, lots of little tips. Yeah, I do a lot of writing. If you got writing tip channel
Yeah.
or time, like it was great. I had a lot of fun. Anytime
Yeah.
you need more,
Thank you. Yeah, well,
talking
since
about stuff.
we're doing tips, I always kind of end the episode with a like homework assignment or encouragement of the day. Mine is going to touch on the rules of reality, and I'm just going to say for homework, um, think about like 5 fundamental rules of reality for your world. And then when you have those 5, think about each one and write a sentence that says, because this is true, the world is like this, whatever that is for each of
Yeah.
your things. So that's kind of like my homework. But since we're talking about tips, is there any other like encouragement or tip or homework you would want to assign based off of
Um,
anything we talked about?
I for anybody that's writing or starting to write, I grew up. I'm dyslexic, so writing's been always hard. But there's so much technology that helps you with spelling and all that stuff. And now I enjoy writing. I write every day. I now, on weekends, I give myself a 10,000 word limit. During the each day, I do between 1,000 and 2,000 words on
That's
whatever. It could
amazing.
be. That's why I have like a whole bunch of little 2 or 3 lit RPGs, 3 game modules, and just like little things. And I just finished, school, so I don't have to do any more grad school stuff. But
Yeah.
um, start always map something out. You should write down at least 5 story plots,
Mhm.
and then 5 character types, and then 5 um, genres, and just see what pops in your head first, and then just write 1,000 words about that,
Yeah.
and then
That's
base it around.
amazing.
I do a lot of NPCs, so like a lot of my stuff and all my teacher friends at the school that I work at, I give them 10,000 word limit. They make an NPC and then they write a story in first person about that NPC on a
Mhm.
map that I give them. I have a ton of maps. I say, write your NPC to this map, and it turns into an anthology book. And I think we got like 3 or 4 of them that I'm just
Wow.
piecing together. But if you're going to start writing, do something small. Write little anthologies. Just write
Mhm.
well, I do 10,000 word limits because it's like 30 something pages.
Mhm.
Um,
But you could start with even like flash fiction, which is like
yeah,
1,500
just,
words, I
yep,
think.
1,500
So,
words. Just
yeah.
have a start, a middle, and a finish.
Yeah.
So basically 3 acts of your story, and just write a bunch of those. And eventually you'll be like, oh man, I want to zip these together. Or, okay,
Mhm.
I want to expand on this one because you want to write about something that you're gravitating towards. So anytime you're writing, write at least 5 things to start what you're doing.
Mhm.
Build off of that, or then write about all 5 of them, and then pick the one that like you just can't stop thinking about. Go
Yeah.
back to that and write, and then go to the next one. And the next thing you know, you're not sitting there going, "Oh, I can't write this 480-page book." You don't have to. You
Mm.
just do a little bit at a time. Don't think about the huge picture. Think about what you're doing and build your world
Yeah.
as you're going through the motions and
That's
stuff.
kind of
So
how I had to wrap my brain around fiction writing, where it was like, geez, I need to come up with what, yeah, 100,000 words or more for a book. And that feels so daunting. But then when you write a short story, which is, maybe upwards of like 5,000, 6,000
yeah,
words, you're already like partly there. Like, do that
Yeah,
several
you're,
times and you
oh,
have
I'm
written
okay.
a novel essentially. So if you can do that, like break your book into little sections and say like, okay, I'm going to write this chapter. I'm going to write this chapter. I'm going to write this chapter. Next thing you know, you have your whole book, you know?
Yeah, in the summers, I give myself a chapter. It used to be a chapter a day before. Now I'm working more, so I can't do a chapter a day,
Hmm.
but do a chapter a week.
Yeah.
Don't overwhelm yourself with like these grandiose ideas of everything you want to do. It'll all come as you're putting it down on paper.
Right.
And don't think too hard into what you're writing, but that's what the spreadsheet's for.
Yeah.
Like have 30 tabs that have different areas and items and people and instances and stuff like that, locations. And then you just always go back and reference and be like, oh yeah, I forgot this is where we're at. And yeah. So I guess that's a little bit more than just a little bit of advice, but
No,
don't
I
get
think
too
it's great
wrapped
advice.
up.
Yeah.
Don't get too wrapped up in what you're doing.
Hmm.
Start small, and then it'll grow into a beautiful flower. As I always say, like
Ah, that's
start as a
beautiful.
small blossom, and then because anytime you write a game or an RPG or you're doing any of that, it's not all figured out right when you start
Right.
writing it. It's going to come to you, and you're going to go in directions you had no idea that you're going to go in,
Hmm.
and you just have to remember to loop back to the ones like if you start down one arc, you got to kind of stay with it and then cap that arc somehow
Yeah.
while you go into this new tangent that you want to go down. And it
Yeah.
might take 3 or 4 papers before that happens, which is fine. You can always go back and use that stuff later.
Exactly. Yeah. Never throw
Never
stuff away.
throw, yeah, never throw it away. Put it in as I call it, the garbage pile,
Hmm.
because you'll go rummaging through the garbage someday trying to find some piece of gold like people do,
Hmm.
and you
Yeah.
find it in your own garbage pile.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you so much for joining me for Perty Nerdy
yeah.
After Hours. This is definitely going to be a two-parter because we had some great conversation there.
um,
Do you want to share where people can find you if you want them to find you? Maybe maybe you want
Oh,
to
you know
stay.
what?
Yeah.
It's been so long since I've put anything like out there on Facebook or Instagram. So
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I'll shoot you some links, and then
I'll put them in the
now that I'm
show
getting
notes.
back,
Yeah.
yeah. Once I'm getting now, I'm getting back into things. I have a website that I keep paying for like every month, and then I
Yeah.
still haven't put anything really on it. I started like 2 years ago. Uh, but yeah, again, I'll give you the Gary Con stuff. There's
Yeah.
games we're looking for GMs. We're looking for all kinds of stuff, and then our partners of with uh, can't remember their name right now. Joe's company. God, why am I
Oh,
blanking on that right now?
Sagaverse.
Sagaverse. Yes, I don't know why I keep forgetting Sagaverse. They're that's how we met. It's one of those things. We're doing a lot of work in there, but we're doing a lot of convention stuff. So it's a lot of work, but yeah, I'll get you all that stuff. And again, it's it's all about the connections you build as
Yeah.
you're going through everything. So,
Yeah.
yep. And
Thank
I
you
noticed
for
that
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say the people, if you notice, I was drinking beer. I'm in Belgium. We started this at 7 p.m. So it wasn't 1 o'clock. I'm not a day drinker like that. So uh,
That's so funny. I didn't even notice, but
I know some people are like, "Wow, you're drinking already." I'm like, "It's 11 o'clock here."
yeah.
And so like the podcast because I had people in the state. So it's one of those things where I always have to like, by the way,
Yeah.
it is nighttime here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
And my day's just getting started.
I know you have a full day ahead of you. And then
I sure
uh,
do.
I'm going to Sweden tomorrow. So I'm basically this is free time right now.
Nice, nice. Well, travel safe, my friend.
You too.
Everyone, this is Will or Kelly Williams. You will be able to find him wherever the links are in my thing
Yeah.
that I put out there. And thank you for joining me again. This is great.
Thanks for
We
having
had
me. It's
some
been
awesome
fun.
conversation. I can't wait to break this up, and people, you're gonna have two full episodes of like awesome goodness.
Sweet.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.